Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to all the Akim out there pushing the word of Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, in truth and sincerity. I'm Brother Lawyer from Great Millstone Miami Camp, and today I'm going to get into a little short lesson about, Yahawashi being Solomon. Hopefully this video is edifying. But to begin with, as you see on the screen, there's a precept here, Zechariah 9:9, talking about a king coming out of Zion, or coming to Zion and Jerusalem on an ass. Zechariah 9:9, which he's riding on an ass, the foal of an ass, which is basically a donkey. And before I read this precept, just to tell you brothers why I'm concerned with this precept out first, is because when you bring this precept out a lot of times to people who only believe in the Old Testament and they don't believe in the New Testament, and Yahawashi, and therefore don't believe in Yahawashi, when you bring this precept to them, a lot of times they'll say that this precept is talking about King David, because there are various precepts in the Old Testament that say David would be king over Israel. But the problem with that, with their argument, or the problem with that stance, is that the only person who fits this prophecy in the Old Testament, or even remotely close, is Solomon. And if you have the true understanding of the Old Testament, you will know that Solomon is Yahawashi. And basically that's why I started off with this precept, just to prove that this precept only fits Solomon, and Solomon is Yahawashi. And then on top of that, Solomon is a greater king than David was. Okay, so therefore, if according to the book of Kings and the book of Samuel, Solomon is a king above David. So even in the kingdom, David has a king over him. And if Solomon is a king greater than David, and Solomon is Yahawashi, then that means that Yahawashi is king over David. Okay, so in the kingdom, yeah, David's going to be our king, but Yahawashi is going to be above him. So just to kick things off, with all that being said, Zechariah 9:9, it says, "Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion, shout, O daughter of Jerusalem, and behold, thy king cometh unto thee, he is just and having salvation, lowly and riding upon an ass, and upon the colt of the foal of an ass." Okay, now right here, it talks about this king, coming unto Zion, coming unto the daughter of Jerusalem, riding an ass, the foal of an ass, a donkey, having salvation, and he is just, etc., etc. So let's see in the Old Testament. Like I said before, Solomon is the only one who fits this description in the Old Testament. So let's see where that's written at. Okay, and it's written in 1 Kings 31. Now, in First Kings 1:31. Now, in 1 Kings, the first chapter, basically what's happening is that that Solomon is being anointed king over Israel, and prior to the 31st verse, you had one of his brothers who was trying to usurp the throne from Solomon, and Solomon's mother Bathsheba comes in, and she begs King David, she bows down to him and does obeisance unto him, to remind him to anoint Solomon king immediately over Israel. So that's pretty much what happens prior to the 31st verse, along with a few extra details. You brothers can read it for yourselves on your own spare time. But here we have 1 Kings 1:31. It says, "Then Bathsheba bowed with her face to the earth, and did reverence to the king, and said, Let my lord King David live forever. And King David said, Call me Zadok the priest, and Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada. And they came before the king, and the king also said unto them, Take with you the servants of your lord, and cause Solomon my son to ride upon mine own mule, and bring him down to Gihon, and let Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet anoint him king, or anoint him their king over Israel, and blow ye the trumpet, and say, God save King Solomon." All right. So here we have it, that King David has the priest anoint Solomon king over Israel, the priest and the prophets, etc., anoint Solomon king over Israel, and he commands them to make Solomon his son ride upon the ass, upon his mule, upon his donkey. All right, and again, verse 34 says, "And let Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet anoint him their king over Israel, and blow ye with the trumpet, and say, God save the king." Verse 35, "Then ye shall come up after him, that he may come and sit upon my throne, and there he shall be king in my stead. And I have appointed him to be ruler over Israel and Judah." And Benaiah the son of Jehoiada answered the king and said, "Amen. The Lord God of my Lord the king say so too. And the Lord hath been with my lord the king, even so, or as the Lord hath been with my lord the king, even so be he with Solomon, and make his throne greater than the throne of my lord David, or my lord King David." So there you have it written that the Lord will make King Solomon's throne greater than the throne of King David. Verse 38, "So does Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada and the Kerethites and the Pelethites went down and caused Solomon to ride upon King David's mule, and brought him to Gihon." Okay, so you have here in 1 Kings, the first chapter, Solomon rode upon a mule, okay, among the daughters of Zion, and they anointed him king over Israel. And later in the chapter, they blow the trumpet, and the people rejoice, they have great joy, etc., etc. Now when you go down to verse 47, I'll start at verse 46. "And also Solomon sitteth on the throne of the kingdom, and moreover the king's servant came to bless our Lord King David, saying, God make the throne of Solomon better than thy name, and make his throne greater than thy throne. And the king bowed himself upon the bed." All right, so Solomon has a greater throne than King David. Okay, and he's the one who's the only person in the Old Testament who fits this description in Zechariah 9:9. All right, so Solomon is the king. Solomon is the king that's talking about, and Solomon is Yahawashi. Okay, now to prove that Solomon is Yahawashi, I have 2 Samuel 7 and 21. It says, "And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom." Okay, and this is the prophet Nathan talking to David, all right, about Solomon, prophesying to him about Solomon, okay, about how Solomon would reign after King David. Verse 13, "And he shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever." Okay, so Nathan said that the Most High, the Most High said through Nathan that he would establish Solomon's kingdom forever. But wait, this never happened in Solomon's lifetime. Okay, this never happened. Okay, so if it doesn't happen in the future time period, then that would make the Most High a liar, which we know that he's not a liar. All right, so that would mean that in the kingdom, David's son Solomon would be king. All right, and not only would he be king, a ruler upon a throne, but he would be king forever. And as written in 1 Kings, the first chapter, he would be king greater than Solomon. Okay, his throne would be greater than Solomon's throne. All right, and his name would be above. His throne would be above King David's throne. All right, greater than King David's throne, and his name would be greater than King David. All right, continuing. Verse 14, 2 Samuel 7:14, "And I will be his father, and he shall be my son. And if he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men, and with the stripes of the children of men." All right. So before we even break down the latter half of that verse, let's start off with the first half of that verse. "I will be his father, and he will be my son." All right, because the Lord never said that about King David, but guess what? He says it he says it through King David, or through one of the psalmists, concerning, guess who? Solomon. All right, Psalms chapter 2 verse 6. It says, "Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion, I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. Okay, so the Lord said that he set a king upon Zion, all right, in this king, all right, the Lord called him his son, and that in this day he hath begot him, all right. Okay, so who is that talking about? Because it can't be talking about David. David was never called the Lord's son. Okay, it's talking about Solomon. All right, and Solomon is Yahawashi, which we'll continue to we'll prove as we continue this lesson. Okay, so again, Solomon is the son, and he's the king upon the holy hill of Zion. So that would make him king over David. All right. Okay, not according to not only Psalms chapter 2, but 2 Samuel chapter 7. All right. Verse 13 and 1 Kings starting chapter 1 starting at verse 31 down to 47. Okay, now going back to 2 Samuel's. All right, now actually, you know what, let me read the rest of this Psalm chapter 2 verse 8. Ask of me, and I will give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, thou shalt dash them in pieces with like a potter's vessel. All right, so when did this happen in Solomon's lifetime? You know, brothers who are learning the truth, who actually believe in Yahawashi, who understand, you know, Yahawashi and how you know, the prophecies foretold of him, they know this is talking about Yahawashi. But you know, linking these scriptures up to King Solomon, because you know, Solomon is called the son of the Lord, all right, and he is king upon the holy hill of Zion, greater than David, above King David's throne. Okay, you know, when did this happen? When did verse 8 and verse 9 happen in Solomon's lifetime? When did he inherit the uttermost parts for his possession of the earth? Okay, when did he have the heathen for his inheritance? When did he break them with a rod of iron? When did he dash them in pieces as a potter's vessel? That never happened in his lifetime. Okay, this is talking about a future prophecy of Solomon, who is Yahawashi. Okay. All right. So back in 2 Samuel 7 and 14, to continue on, I will be his father, and he shall be my son. And if he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. All right. So the Lord said, if Solomon commit iniquity, he will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. Okay. So with that being said, we know, according to the scriptures in 1 Kings, the book of 1 Kings, you know, it's recorded in our history by the scribes that Solomon committed sin, man. He worshipped the idols of the other nations. Okay, his wives persuaded him to make altars unto Ashtaroth and their gods, etc., etc. You know, so he did commit iniquity. But was he chastened with the rod of men, and was he beaten with the stripes of the children of men? No, that did not happen. You know, okay, that didn't happen. All right. So what, is the Most High a liar, or is he not? Because if he's not, that means that prophecy happened. But when you read throughout Solomon's history in 1 and 2 Kings, you don't see that Solomon gets beaten chastened with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. Okay, you don't see that happening. Okay. Verse 15, it says, but my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee. God, you know, Solomon came as Yahawashi, and he suffered that death as Yahawashi, as we further go along in this lesson to show, you know, and the mercy of the Most High did not depart from him. You know, the Spirit of the Lord stayed upon him, and he suffered that death, and he was raised from the dead. Okay, and then on top of that, his descendants, you know, his male descendants, still sat upon the throne of Judah. You know, unlike Saul's descendants, you know, Saul was put away. You know, and none of his descendants reigned over Israel, but the descendants of Solomon did. You know, so the Lord still had mercy upon him. Verse 16: and thine house and thy kingdom shall be established forever before thee; thy throne shall be established forever. Okay, going into the kingdom as well. You know. Now let's go into the prophecies and see an instance or a record of somebody suffering the same death that Solomon was supposed to suffer but never did in his lifetime. All right, this is Isaiah 53 and 4. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. Okay, so here in Isaiah 53, it records a man being killed, all right, and being wounded, and being chastised the same way Solomon was supposed to be chastised. So that proves that this chastisement of King Solomon was supposed to which didn't happen in his lifetime, was supposed to take place in the future, okay, in a future time period, all right. And to further prove that this is talking about the same kind of death, it says the chastisement of our peace was upon him. Now, and by his stripes we are healed. Now, how does the Lord chasten his men? All right, how does the Lord chasten people? He chastens them with the rod. All right, that's how the Most High has instructed us to chasten our sons. All right, and the Most High chastened his son Solomon, okay, with the rod of men. All right. Now, when you read Proverbs 13 and 24, it says, "He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes." So you chasten with the rod, man. Okay. Now, so that's just a proven detail that this is not some just regular chastisement. Not some chastisement of disease, but actual chastisement of the rod, man. Okay. That this person was said to have suffered, or supposed to suffer, the same death as Solomon was supposed to suffer. All right, and who is this talking about? This is a prophecy talking about Yahawashi, man. And let's get further into it. All right, Isaiah 52 and 14. "As many were astonished at thee, his visions were so marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. So shall he sprinkle many nations, and kings shall shut their mouths at him. For that which had not been told them shall they see, and that which they have not heard shall they consider." Right. So this Isaiah 52:14 gives you a further detail on who or how or in what way or how brutal of a death this man in Isaiah 53, who suffered the same death that Solomon was said to have suffered or supposed to suffer but never did in his lifetime. Isaiah 52 gives you more details to add upon it. Now, why is this important? The reason why this is important is because when the books of Isaiah and the Psalms, various scriptures like the prophets, Jeremiah, etc., when they were written, they weren't divided into chapters like Isaiah 51, Isaiah 52, Isaiah 53. It was just continuing. It was just continuous. It was just a continuous writing or records. So Isaiah 52 and Isaiah 53 can be looked at as one whole body of writings. All right, so that would let you know. That would let you know that the person that's being spoken of in Isaiah 52, towards the latter end of the chapter, and the person being recorded about in Isaiah 53 are the same person. All right, and it says that he was wounded. All right, he was marred. His visions was so marred more than any man, more than the form of the sons of men, and that he was sprinkled. All right, and in the same manner he would sprinkle the nations. Okay. Now, going into further detail, when you go to Isaiah 53 and 1, right, it reads, "Who hath believed our report, and to whom hath the arm of the Lord been revealed?" So the person who's being described in Isaiah 52 and Isaiah 53, okay. All right, the person who was supposed to suffer the death that Solomon was, the person who suffered, who was prophesied to suffer the death that Solomon was foretold to suffer but never did in his lifetime. All right, is being called in Isaiah 53 and 1 the arm of the Lord. Okay, that's what he's being called. All right, he's being described as the arm of the Lord, and the reason why he's being called the arm of the Lord is because, first of all, the arm is. The arm of a man is supposed to be the seat of strength. Okay, now this is basically the person being described is being called the arm of the Lord because their death was to show the power of the Lord and how He saves. Okay, all right, the power of the Lord's salvation, or the power by which He would save not only the person who's being described, but the person the people who this person is dying for. All right, and this is talking about Yahawashi, all right, and how He would die for the nation of Israel's sins, man. And that was supposed to show the power or the strength or the arm of the Lord. Okay, this person is being called the arm of the Lord. All right, now let's look at some various other scriptures about the arm of the Lord. All right, I have Psalms 98 and 1. It says, O sing unto the Lord a new song, for he hath done marvelous things. His right hand and his holy arm hath gotten him the victory. The Lord hath made known his salvation. His righteousness hath he shewed openly in the sight of the heathen. Okay, so right here in Psalms 98 and 1, the Lord's right hand and his holy arm are being described or are being associated one with another. Okay, now let's see who sits. Now let's look at and on top of that, they're being associated with victory and salvation. All right, now let's look into some other precepts. Psalms 138 and 7. Though I walk in the midst of trouble, thou wilt revive me. Thou wilt stretch forth thine hand against the wrath of mine enemies, and thy right hand shall save me. All right, so the Lord's hand, his right hand, okay, and therefore also his holy arm, okay, is being associated with salvation. All right, with deliverance. Okay. Another precept here says in Psalm 72 and 14, thou art the God that doeth wonders. Thou hast declared thy strength among the people. Thou hast with thine arm redeemed thy people, the sons of Jacob and Joseph, Salah. All right, so the right arm, or the arm of the Lord, okay, which is therefore the right hand of the Lord, is being associated with salvation, deliverance, okay, victory, righteousness, all right, redemption, okay, of the sons of Jacob and the sons of Joseph. And we just read in Isaiah 53, okay, Isaiah 53 and Salakia, Isaiah 53 and 5, it says he was wounded for our transgressions. Okay, all right, so that would go into the redemption for the sons of Jacob and Joseph. Now let's see who sits at the right arm or the right hand of the Lord. Okay, Psalms 110 and 1. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool. Okay, now hold on. David says that the Lord has somebody else sitting at his right hand. Okay, all right, and who is that talking about? Who is that talking about? Is that talking about King David? Which prophet is this talking about? Okay, because it's a psalm of David, all right. And when David's psalms were written, they were written by David's psalmists, okay, like the high priest and the Levites, on behalf of David. So David would tell you know, his psalmists and the priests and the Levites and the singers to write a certain psalm, and they would write the psalm for him about whatever topic that he would want them to write about. Okay, so this is not talking about King David. This is talking about somebody that King David sees. Okay, and not only that, but this person, this Lord on Yahawah's right hand, all right, is being described as the right hand of the Lord. All right, and therefore is the holy arm of the Lord, as we proved with various precepts. Okay, and that would mean that this person suffered the same death Solomon was supposed to suffer. Okay, in Isaiah 53, we read the kind of death that this person was supposed to suffer, who was being described as the arm or the right hand of the Lord. Okay, and that death that he suffered, all right, was in alignment or was congruent with the death that Solomon was foretold to suffer but never did. Okay, so who suffered that death? Who was it? All right, who was it that was the arm of the Lord, okay, that suffered the death that King Solomon was supposed to suffer, who was a king greater than Israel, who was called greater than David, all right? His throne was greater than David. His name was greater than David, all right? Who was called the Son of the Lord, all right? Who was supposed to beat the heathen down, all right? And he was supposed to do things that Solomon was said to do, or suffer the things that Solomon was said to suffer, even though those things never happened. Who is it talking about? You guys can't come up with an answer. You know, you Old Testament guys, you guys can never come up with an answer. Now let's go even deeper. Let's make the picture even clearer, and then, you know, I'll close it out. Matthew 22 and 41. While the Pharisees were gathered together, Yahawashi asked them, saying, what think ye of Hamashiach, whose son is he? And they said unto him, the son of David. Right? So they said that, you know, the Messiah was the son of David. All right, and we know the son of David. Who is that? Solomon. Okay, verse 43. He saith unto him, how then doth David in the spirit call him Lord, saying, the Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand till I make thine enemies thy footstool? If David then called him Lord, whose son is he? All right, so David called his own son Lord. All right, and this son that he called Lord was supposed to be the Hamashiach, all right, who was sitting at the right hand of the Lord, and therefore the arm of the Lord. Okay, so when now the point I'm trying to make here is, first of all, this proves that Yahawashi is King David, King David's son Salaki. This proves that Yahawashi is King David's son Solomon. All right, and what this should arouse, the question this should arouse, or the clue that this should arouse, is that the Pharisees that Yahawashi was talking about knew that the son of David was Hamashiach and sat on the right hand of the Lord, and therefore was the right or the holy arm of the Lord. Okay, because they, mind you, these are the main interpreters of the law and the prophets and the Psalms in Yahawashi's day, man. All right, these people actually existed. The Pharisees were actually a group of people walking around in Judea who actually interpreted the law and the prophets and the Psalms. So they knew, all right, that the son of David, Solomon, okay, was the Hamashiach, who was supposed to sit at the right hand of the Lord, and therefore the arm of the Lord. They knew it, okay? And therefore, if that's the case, if he is the right hand and the holy arm of the Lord, then that would mean that he would have to suffer this death that Solomon was prophesied to suffer but never did, and that would make him Solomon in the reincarnation, man. All right? That's the breakdown, man. Okay? And you guys, either you see it or you don't, man. If you can't get it, man, the Most High is just not dealing with you. Okay? Matthew's 1:1, you know, one of my last two precepts, Matthew's 1:1, the book of the generation of Yahawashi HaMashiach, the son of David, who was the son of David, the true son of David, Solomon, and the son of Abraham. Who was the true son of Abraham? Isaac. Okay, and Isaac shall thy seed be called. Okay, and Solomon was the true seed of David, because in 2 Samuel it said, thy seed shall be set up after thee. Who was the one that was set up after David when he died? Solomon. So Solomon was the seed of David. Okay, he was the true son of David. Plain. All right. Now, therefore, that would make Yahawashi, who is the son of David, who is the seed of David, that would make him Solomon, and that would make Abraham. That would also make him the son of Abraham, the seed of Abraham, the true seed of Abraham, and to whom the promises were made, Isaac. Okay. Last precept I have here to close out. Ezekiel 1:9, okay, or not Ezekiel, Ecclesiastes 1:9. The thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun, man. So we all come back in our lots, man. Okay, Solomon, according to this precept, that would mean that Solomon would have to come back, okay, and he would have to go through what he was prophesied to go through, man. If not, you know, if he didn't fulfill these precepts that are clearly all talking about him, okay, then the prophecies that are all talking about him as spoken by the Most High, if he didn't come back and fulfill those, that would make the Most High a liar, man. You know, and we all already know the Most High is not a liar, okay? So either these precepts are talking about Solomon, or they're not, okay? And if they're talking about Solomon, then when did he come back and suffer and go through these things? All right, or when will he? Okay, when did he, or when will he? And if he did, who did he come back as? All right, we know that he came back as Yahawashi, and he suffered these things, man, that are written in Isaiah. Okay, he's coming to fulfill the things written about him in the book of Psalms, and he's coming to fulfill. And he came and died and suffered what he had to suffer for the sins that he committed as Solomon. All right. So with that, you know, I'm going to give all praises to Yahawah Hashem Yahawashi, double honors to the elder apostles, great millstone, and salutations to all the Akim out there pushing the word of Yahawah Hashem Yahawashi in truth and sincerity. Again, my name is Brother Lord from Great Millstone Miami Camp. Hope this video was edifying. Shalom.